Moments ago, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt doubled down on the Trump administration's stance that the group chat over Signal, where top officials discussed war plans, not realizing that journalist Jeffrey Goldberg was included. She writes, no war plans were discussed. No classified material was sent to the thread, and that the White House is looking into how Goldberg's number was inadvertently added to the thread. More now from our interview earlier this morning with the Atlantic's editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg, including why no one in that group text chat raised any red flags about discussing sensitive material on a commercial app.
The administration confirmed the authenticity of this exchange. The National Security Council did it as well. So we can put that to the side. That puts to rest what Secretary Hegseth tried to claim there. Were you surprised that no one else in that chat, I don't know, Marco Rubio, who chaired the Senate Intelligence Committee, Susie Wiles, who's the chief of staff, didn't say, whoa, guys, not here with this stuff?
Yes, it's surprising. I think that you can become inured to believing, this is true for all of us, to believing that the chats you're in on the apps that you use are somehow more secure than they are. Obviously, Signal is pretty secure from an encryption standpoint. You lose your government secrecy if you mistakenly invite the editor of the Atlantic into the chat, obviously. But you know, Signal, we all use Signal for good reason. But nevertheless, it is not supposed to be used by government officials to talk about national security. It is technically considered an unclassified platform, in part because it's on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, two things here. First of all, for Pete Hegseth or other members of this administration that think they can just brush this away and point to the press and think that MAGA supporters are not deeply concerned about this, they should probably talk actually to people who voted for Donald Trump several times, as I have over the past 12 hours, who were deeply concerned about this, deeply concerned about the recklessness, who actually believe that if they screw up this badly, that yes, the lives of our men and women in uniform are put in danger. So, and for those that while Jeffrey was talking, didn't see the Brit Hume tweet, he said, for God's sake, after Pete Hegseth, again, when Pete Hegseth went out, and he might as well have just been holding a sign up saying, I think people who voted for Donald Trump are stupid, because he insulted them by denying this. Brit Hume, Fox News emeritus political analyst, said, oh, for God's sake, the administration has already confirmed the authenticity of the message. So he takes a terrible situation and embarrasses himself even more. And I'm not exactly sure why he thought he could get away with doing that when the administration already confirmed it. But Mika, I want to talk about the people really quickly, and we do need to sort through this. There are people on that group that, again, I'll just say, if they were Fox News hosts or hosts of any TV show, perhaps they weren't read in on how important this was. I will say Secretary of State Marco Rubio had to know, because he ran the Intel Committee. And this is just something, again, as a lowly member of the Armed Services Committee in the House of Representatives, when you were getting information like this, you were going upstairs, you were going into a skiff, you were in the most private of circumstances. You didn't text this stuff around on a commercial app. You just, it's been commented before, if lower level people had done this, chances are good that they could possibly face charges. And of course, against the backdrop of all of this are so many of these people who spent a year and a half attacking Hillary Clinton, saying she should be in jail because she used a private email server.
Yeah. A couple of things. The cavalier nature of the texting, along with the incredibly in-depth information about what was about to happen, is staggering and raises the question, how many of these chats are out there on different national security issues? And if anybody in charge cared about our national security, they'd be launching an investigation into this right now instead of attacking the press. Like, this is an incredible breach of our own national, a self-induced breach. And also, I'm seeing the term leaked chat. This is not a leaked chat. This is a group chat that included our guest, Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, who, and if it wasn't so damn serious, it would be laughable. But this group chat that included the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, that was the mistake. Somebody, by mistake, included Jeffrey on a group chat. It was not leaked to the press. The press was included.
And Mika, the press was included, but, and I know the question has been asked here, Mika, but also everybody that was on that text chain. I don't know, I can't speak for other people, but I don't go into large group chains without looking at every one of the numbers and saying, okay, who am I talking to here? And that's for cable TV. These people are blindly going onto a group chat on Signal talking about where our troops are going. And I find it shocking that not one person said, okay, who's this guy with the Atlantic icon? I don't know what Jeffrey's. I don't know what Jeffrey's thing is.
It just said JG.
Well,
okay, very good. Yeah. So the question is, why wouldn't somebody, Mika, in that group ask, who is JG?
Yeah, and then that's the second question. The first question is, what are they all doing on Signal with all this information? Many of the